I went from 1,000 miles an hour to zero. And so I was struggling to find what my identity was now. It was almost as if when I took my uniform off for the last time, I took my identity off.
Hi, welcome to Pet Talks TV. This is your family's talk show about pets, where nothing is too petty for us to talk about when it comes to your pets. So come join our community of pet lovers. Allow us to entertain you and hopefully we will inspire you. My name is Tita Me, shortcut for Tita Meow, because I love cats. But today we're not going to talk about cats. We're going to talk about dogs. Again. And we're going to talk about service dogs. And for that, we have a special guest who is no other than Lieutenant Andy Barker. Andy Barker was in the Navy for 32 years. 21 years of those he was enlisted. The last 11 years, he was an officer. For 14 years, he was with the Marine Corps as a combat corpsman, a medic, where he served aboard 2 submarines as the only medical provider for 140 Marines. He graduated BS Nursing from Hampton University in 2011 to become an emergency trauma nurse. He has been to combat, so he now deals with PTSD, anxiety, and depression. There was even a time when he thought of taking his own life. But now, he has a service dog who helps him cope and deal with his demons. And he has a great story to tell on how he got his service dog. Let's welcome Lieutenant Andy Barker.
Wow.
Hi, Andy.
I don't even know what to say. I feel like the intro was the most interesting part. I don't even know how to follow that. Thank you.
I was getting tongue-tied. I haven't podcast in a while, like a month.
Oh,
I
wow.
haven't. I've always been doing behind the scenes. I'd have broadcasts regularly, but I'd be directing the program. So it's been a while for me, and I am just very blessed to have you. Andy Barker, actually Lieutenant Andy Barker, right? Lieutenant Andy Barker. We have so much to talk to, but I promised you to finish this in maybe half an hour. Let's try our best. But your life and your stories are really very interesting. To begin that, I'd like to bring up some pictures. Yes, so we have here, where's that? Yeah, I want to show the audience. This is Lieutenant Andy Barker when he was in the Navy. Because Andy, am I right that you retired? You retired already, right?
Yes, I've been retired for 2 years now.
Uh huh.
And it's great.
Yeah,
So
it's
I have a
great.
question for you.
Go
Are
ahead.
most of your viewers, are they in the Philippines or are they all over?
Oh, I really don't know because I have a couple of thousand subscribers or
Oh, wow.
so. But like I know that there's some from Asia. Many of them are from Asia, from like they sound like they're from Vietnam, the names.
Hmm.
Vietnam, because yeah,
Mhm.
many of them. But they're also from the Philippines.
Oh, well, mabuhay.
Mabuhay, yeah. Yeah, wait, let me start by asking, how come you know how to speak Filipino, Tagalog?
Mestiza ako.
Miss
Mestiza. This
Tisa,
this this
tell
side.
us.
Just this half.
Half, half? No,
Joke,
seriously?
joke lang. No,
No,
no, no, no.
no joke
No,
lang.
I spent a lot of time in the Pacific Theater, spent a lot of time in the Philippines, and my wife is Filipino.
Okay. Would you
So,
like to tell us very briefly how you met?
no.
What's the name of your wife?
I'm just kidding. Connie is my wife's name. So
Connie.
we met in 2002 when I was in, initially I was in Basilan and Holo in Mindanao. And then when we retrograded back to Zamboanga, that's
Mm-hmm.
where I met her. I met her mother first. Um,
Mm.
it was kind of a unique situation. We had completed our mission, so we retrograded back to Zamboanga at the headquarters, and we were waiting to go back to our home base in Hawaii. And
Yeah.
I had uh, I had a sundry supply of like over the counter medications like Tylenol, Motrin, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So what I was doing in our time, because there really wasn't much to do, I would go around. I was doing blood pressures and basically giving out medication to folks that could use it. And they had this little store, like a souvenir store set up. And her mother was working there. And I'd met her mother. I was, you know, doing blood pressures and things like that for her. And then she all of a sudden conveniently didn't show up one day and her daughter did. And we just kind of hit it off.
Mm.
And so, about two,
That's
two and a
what you
half years
call.
later, um, of some long distance dating and whatnot, we ended up getting married.
Wow. So that was what do you call that? Love at first sight? Was it love at first sight?
I like to say she put something in my food. I think she drugged me. I don't know. But that's our little
Yeah,
joke.
that's the magic of the Filipino.
Magic. It's more like black magic, if you ask me.
Black magic. So how long have you been here? How many times have you come to the Philippines aside
Uh,
from apart from your mission then?
oh,
Uh did you
just
ever come
visiting.
back here for visiting?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think the last time was around 2016. I think is the last time we were there.
Mm, mm,
Um, and at the time we were stationed in Japan, so it was easy to just hop on a flight and head over.
mhm.
So quite a few times in our 3-year tour in Japan, but we haven't been back since because, as you can imagine, the flight time it takes over a day just to get to the
Yeah,
Philippines,
that's
to
correct.
Manila, and then
Yeah.
her family lives in outside of Cebu, so there's another flight to get to Cebu, and then so it takes over a day to get there.
Yeah, you're based now in
I'm about 40 miles outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in the United States.
Missouri. Yeah. All right. So this is friends, this is being recorded for you. Yeah, we're miles and miles apart. I'm from the Philippines right now. And Lieutenant Andy, I want to call you Lieutenant. You're the first um Marine that I interviewed on the show, and that's because you have pets. So I have the luxury of talking to people like you, and this is your beautiful family. There's Connie, and that's your daughter.
My
And can
daughter,
you give us, yeah,
Isabella,
what's her name? Isabella.
She just turned 13 in April.
Oh,
Um,
sweet.
so,
Yeah.
and I'm going to brag on her a little bit. She tried out for her school's cheerleading team last week and made it.
Yes.
So, super
Oh,
excited about
great.
that.
Yeah,
And then my
that's
son
nice. And
Liam, uh,
Liam,
Liam is
Isabella.
12.
Yes.
He turned
Okay.
12 in September, and he's really really big into baseball.
Yeah, just like the dad. Yeah, I'm gonna show later. We'll talk about your sports. Now, you said that you retired, right? You retired. When
Mhm.
was this again? What
I
year?
retired June 1st of 2021, and so
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
great segue into the entire story.
Go
So
ahead.
I retired in June of 2021. About a month, about a month and a half later, um, I got COVID and I was hospitalized for it.
Oh,
And
yeah. I saw the
during
pictures.
during the hospitalization, I had a heart attack and I almost died.
Oh
Um,
no.
I went into the hospital, a relatively healthy individual, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, COVID did a number on me. I came out of the hospital post heart attack. Plus, I'm now an insulin dependent type 2 diabetic, which
Wow.
was not the case before I went into the hospital. So Being in the hospital bed during COVID, as you recall, you couldn't have visitors, so you're all alone. Um, Being in the medical field as long as I've been, I knew immediately that I was having a heart attack. And
Mm-hmm.
when I hit the little call light to get the nurses in there, and I'm not exaggerating. It took probably 10 minutes for them to get there, and in that 10 minutes, you think of a lot of things going through your head, and mine was, man, I've been to combat, I've been shot at, I've survived all these crazy things. I'm going to die alone here in this bed. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so finally, they show up and they ask what's wrong, and I told them I was having a heart attack. I mean, the pain was so bad I could not get up out of the bed to go to the door to call for help, because at that time they had all the doors closed because of you know
COVID. Yes.
communicability and infection control and things of that nature. So I couldn't even get out of the bed to get over to the door to even try to yell for help. I couldn't even yell.
Mm.
It was the most scared I've ever been in my life. Um,
Even more
so
scared than going out to war.
oh yeah, because it, psychologically speaking, when we go to combat, we accept the fact that we could possibly die, um,
Mhm.
but also we have in our own minds what we feel is some sort of control, because we have a weapon in our hands. We can return fire. We can kind of sort of in our own minds control the situation, but there was absolutely zero control laying in that hospital bed. So um, yeah, it was just a completely different dynamic, and it really sent me into a bad depression. And I have to back up because I retired here in St. Louis, and there's really no Navy bases here in St. Louis. We have a big reserve center, and we have a recruiting station. But the reason I came back here to St. Louis because my father was he was very ill. So I took a humanitarian transfer to come back here to take care of him for the last remaining year of his life. So you know he died, let's see, he had died a year and a half before I got COVID. So I never had time to mourn really, because I had to be the rock, the pillar for the family. I had to be there for my mother, had to be there for my kids and for my wife. And so I never had the chance to mourn. And then after it happened, excuse me, I retired. And I went from 1,000 miles an hour to zero. And so I was struggling to find what my identity was now. It was almost as if when I took my uniform off for the last time, I took my identity off. So I struggled to find, what am I going to do? Who am I?
Yeah.
What's my
Yeah.
purpose in life? A lot of unknowns that the military doesn't prepare you for when you retire. Now,
Wow.
most people do a career of 20 years, they'll retire, they'll get out, and they'll go to work again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% disabled, so I don't work, which
Mm-hmm.
is another, kind of chink in the armor of, I went from being this strong, proud man to now I don't even know who I am anymore. And what kind
Mm-hmm.
of example am I going to set for my children, for my peers? I don't have colleagues anymore, so I don't have to worry about setting an example for them. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it sent me into a very, very dark spot. And yeah, I was literally gonna kill myself. Um, and out of the blue, I had a friend that called me up, and just out of the blue, and asked me what was going on, and almost like he sensed something. Excuse me, sorry about that. And that stopped it. So I knew I was in trouble. I wasn't diagnosed with PTSD or traumatic brain injury or anything like that until after I retired and was going through the retirement process, the disability process. So, of course, my mind was, um, you don't have PTSD. They don't even know what they're talking about. Well,
Um,
come to find out, I sure do, and I've had a lot of issues with dealing with it. But with being suicidal, with the loss of my father, with the loss of my identity, so to speak, with being newly retired, I needed help. And fortunately, I was smart enough to realize that I needed help, and I reached out for it. So
That's very important.
I called a good friend of mine who has a lot of connections. He's worked with service dogs in the past. In fact, he was a canine handler when he was in the Army. So I'm not real proud of this fact, but I called him up and I said I need a dog and I need it now. And obviously they knew I was in the hospital and whatnot, but normally there's like a 2-year wait. There's a huge vetting process that you have to apply and go through to receive one of these dogs. Well, this is why I'm not proud, because I kind of skipped ahead of all that process because of who I knew. But truth be told, I might not be here if that hadn't happened. So I got out of the hospital. Go ahead. You had a question?
No, finish your story. I have my questions 1 and 2.
Okay. I got out of the hospital. I think it was a Wednesday. On a Friday, I'm driving to Pennsylvania from Missouri to get my dog. Now, talking with the organization and everything, I still had to fill out all the paperwork and get vetted, but it wasn't clearly a 2-year process. I was told that I was going to get a all black German Shepherd male. And so I was kind of excited about that. And when I show up to the place, I hear the lady on the phone, and she's saying essentially something to the effect that I'm sorry, I've already promised the dog to someone else, and they're here to pick him up. So naturally, I assumed that she was talking about me. So I interrupted, and I asked what she was talking about, and she told me that the gentleman on the phone was that dog's original handler overseas, and he had just retired, and he wanted to get the dog back. And who am I to break up that relationship? So I said, absolutely, that dog belongs with that guy. And I had an emotional breakdown. Now the way I was brought
not
up,
being able to get the dog.
That and everything else that had compounded, and I'm not an emotional guy. I'm sorry.
No, I was wondering, like you said, you broke down. That all of those emotions came out when you didn't get the dog.
It was just it was like the last straw.
It was a release. Yeah.
And I had never done that before. I had never broken down like that in public. And my dog Alma was the only dog to come up to me to console me. So I always say I didn't pick her; she picked me. And
I have pictures.
Yeah, share the pictures.
Show the audience here. That's Alma, your service dog.
So Alma has a more amazing story than I do, believe it or not.
All right. Yeah.
Excuse me. Alma was she was a trained military canine working dog, and she was a bomb detection dog. So she was an explosives dog, and she was in Iraq for 6 years. So they have a program that brings back these working dogs, and they try to adopt them to families so they can have a regular life the rest of their lives. Well, again, here's one of the things that I'm not proud of. These dogs are never repurposed for obvious reasons, but I had her retrained to be my service dog. And
I didn't know that can be done.
It's not supposed to be. In fact, I'm probably going to get somebody in trouble saying that, but it is what it is. And it's because of the fact that we had such an incredible bond from the very first instant. And even my buddy that's a canine handler said he's told so many people this story, and he tells them, I've never seen a dog bond to somebody that quickly, that deeply. Instantaneously. And so I can't even go to the bathroom without her coming with me, being right by my side. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. In a good way.
Show the audience. Yeah, Alma, right? So Alma was the one that approached you and
Yes.
consoled you. I have a question because you said when you were in the hospital and out of nowhere, your friend, somebody you knew, gave you a call and said something.
Yeah.
Is it
So
all
this
right if you
that actually
share
wasn't in the
share what it
hospital.
was?
I
Oh,
was
you weren't in the
that was
hospital.
um before the hospital happened.
All right.
So it was probably late
So,
June, early July.
mhm,
I was just in a bad spot, and
mhm,
uh, it's a huge life altering change to retire um, like that when that's all you've done. That's all I did my whole adult life, and so it caused friction between my wife and I. We were having
mhm,
some hard times, and it's natural, but at that time I wasn't getting the help that I needed.
mhm.
So I thought I could cope and deal with it on my own. Clearly, I couldn't. So I was just going to end it all. And
Mhm. It's I never you're like I was saying earlier, you're the first Marine that I ever really got to talk to. And it's amazing that I'm learning so much about the life that you have because like as a civilian, I imagine, of course, like I saw your pictures, you're very strong, very athletic and all that. I'll show some pictures later on. But I'm surprised to hear that you went through this stage after your retirement. It never dawned on me that retiring from serving the country would have so much impact. Like because I watched your video. Let me show that. Let's show the audience the ceremony.
so
It's
let me
because
let me
of
just
the
say real quick, I
okay.
wasn't a Marine,
Yes,
but I served with the Marines.
you served with the Marines.
Right.
All
So,
right.
and the reason that
So
is for your audience that may not understand,
yes.
the Marine Corps falls under the Department of the Navy. And
All
so they
right.
don't have their own independent medical components. So they take
Oh,
those components from the Navy side of the house, and
yes.
essentially we may as well be Marines because we go and we wear the same uniform, do everything
Right.
that they do, in addition to providing all the medical support, both in
Mhm.
garrison, in and out of combat, in and out of the field. So we're responsible for their health care through the
So
entirety.
how is this? How is this, Andy? Like when they would go to war, because you were stationed on you were on board like submarines, right?
Mhm.
So what sort of combat would you experience? Like what kind of injuries would
Well, on the submarine,
I have no idea.
I did my submarine tours after my tours with the Marine Corps. So
Mm.
I'd already had my combat tour prior to going to a submarine. And truth be told, going to the submarine was pretty much easy compared to being stationed with the Marines. So
Yeah.
um, to answer your question, when I was with the Marines, it would be any. It's so wide and diverse, the number of injuries and things that you see when not in a combat environment. You're always training to go to combat, so there's always
Even you,
training. Huh?
even you, even
Oh,
you did the same
of
training.
course, yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to.
So you are a
um,
Marine.
well, yeah, at
Yeah,
heart, how about that?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so we would see various
If you're
injuries,
doing the same things they are doing, what
exactly.
differentiates? What differentiates you from them aside from your medical,
Well, we're two different
medical?
branches.
Okay,
So I
all
am
right.
I am Navy, they are Marines.
I see, I see. All right, yeah. I
So
have
that's
to have, yeah.
but
And
anyway,
so,
we
like,
see. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you, like, my question earlier was, what was it that your friend said that made you snap out of your
You
depression?
know, honestly, he had no idea what was going on. So he just called, and we
Yes.
were, you know, BSing like we normally do, cutting up, telling jokes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
at that point I realized that what am I doing? And I didn't tell him about it for like a year later. So he was pretty shocked when I told him.
Like I listen to I kind of listen to some of your podcasts because we haven't really known each other for so long, right? And to hear your stories today, tonight, they're really so surprising. I'm so surprised. Like I don't know where to start from in talking to you because there's so many facets. You have so many experiences. You're so diverse. You're so dynamic. You have so many experiences, and I would like to peel that off one by one to talk about you, to know you more as a person. So there you were, and then you talked to us about Alma. And first of all, the name Alma, did you give that, or that was really
No,
your name?
no, Alma, she's
Okay,
11 years old. Um, so she was given that name
today.
many, when she was born.
Yeah, yeah. All right. What made you think you needed a service dog? And can you explain to the audience, because there are people that listen and they don't know what a service dog is.
Sure.
What is a
So
service dog, first of
a
all?
service dog is a dog that has been trained to assist an individual that has either certain physical disabilities or mental health issues, like
Mm,
myself. I'm very, because of my PTSD and my exposures to what I've been exposed to, I am hyper vigilant. I'm what they call hyper aroused, meaning loud
mm,
noises very much startle me.
mm,
I'm very anxious in large crowds. And I'm still learning why and how and what triggers my anxiety. I'm not sure what it is, but she picks up on it before I do. And so what she'll
really?
do is she'll come over and, she'll either nudge me or put her head on my lap or whatever the case may be, um,
Wow.
to
Really?
help calm me down. Because a lot of
Mm,
times I don't know that I'm experiencing the anxiety until it's too late when I'm already
mm,
way up here. Um,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
don't express anxiety like, um, well, I express it like most combat vets do, but my anxiety, I don't get fearful. I guess I do, but I lash out and I can tend to get very angry. I can tend to get violent. So it's imperative that I have something to help me know that I'm ramping up so I don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, yeah. And Alma's able to recognize that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
And,
Yeah. And
it's
and that
go.
wasn't her training, you said, right? She had to be retrained
Mhm.
to learn that. What an awesome dog.
She's amazing. And not only
Mm,
she helps so many people. Um, One of the pictures, I believe, if you haven't showed it, I think you showed me earlier. I don't know if you've showed it yet. There's an organization that I belong to. In fact, I'm actually a board member of. It's called Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. And what we do is we take wounded veterans, we bring them in under the guise of baseball. We teach them how to be umpires, but more
show that while
importantly,
you're discussing. Yeah.
yeah, the
This
lower
one with
left,
the star. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So we give them a renewed sense of purpose. We teach them a skill. We help them assimilate back into civilian life. And we have saved many, many lives through this program. So,
Mm.
wow, I just forgot where I was going with that. Oh, so
Oh.
I bring Alma with me every year. Every year we hold a 10-day camp. And
Mm,
I bring her with me for obvious reasons, but I've got to the point where I'm so comfortable with this group of veterans that I wouldn't need to bring her with me, but I do because she helps so many people. Um,
mm,
every year we've gone back to the camp, there's been somebody, well, there's been many somebodies who've benefited from her picking up on their anxiety and their fear and her just
even the
going over.
others?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great. Yeah, amazing. And you really have that connection with her, no?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and she's really, I don't know, is that what dogs really do, or Alma's just one of a kind? What do you think?
She's definitely a one of a kind dog, but most service dogs that are trained properly they're just wonderful creatures, you know, and um, the dogs just want to make you happy. You know, they are happy by making you happy. So especially dogs like Labs, German Shepherds, Alma, who's a Belgian Malinois, they're working dogs to begin with. So that's how they get joys by working. Um,
Mm,
so it's pretty amazing creatures.
really,
And
yeah.
wow.
What made you think that you needed a dog? How did that get to your, what made you decide? Who told you you needed one?
No one told me. I know people that have them. Obviously,
Okay.
in the veteran community, I found that my coping skills were failing me. I couldn't do it
Mm-hmm.
on my own anymore, and that was a very tough and bitter pill to swallow because I've always been the strong one. I've always been the
Yeah.
one that people come to. People come to
Mm,
me to talk about their problems, and yet here I am. I'm struck by all these problems that pretty much came up out of the blue because when you're still in, you compartmentalize so much because you have the mission to complete. I
right.
retired. My mission was complete. So
Mm,
that's I had nothing to distract me any longer. And that's when they really, I call them my demons. The demons really attacked pretty hard. So
yeah.
and I was angry all the time for nothing. Um,
Mm.
lashing out, didn't know why. Um,
On a
it's
daily
just
basis,
oh yeah,
almost.
oh yeah, constantly.
So how was your relationship with your family, with Connie?
Um, it's
Children,
getting better.
were they fearful of you when, you know?
Yeah, because you know I'm in my office downstairs in my basement right now, and a lot of times when I would get to that point, like I'm getting anxious right now, I would just come down here, and at first they just thought I was avoiding the family, and now that you know with these conditions, one of the most important aspects of treatment is education. Not so much for the individual going through the process, but for the family members. Um, once they realize that this is a legitimate condition and I'm not really mad at them, but I don't know what's going on and I'm working through it. And I go to counseling, you know, every week and um, it's getting better. I'll never be the same person that I was. Um, I will never be 100% cured, so to speak, but recognizing symptomology, um, being willing and wanting to get better goes a long, long way in the healing process. And what I've found really helps even more than going to a therapist is what's called peer to peer counseling. So people that have been through the same things that you've been, just talking with them,
Yeah.
and honestly, talking about it is more therapeutic than really anything else. It's when you bottle
Mm,
it up, you keep it inside. That's when you start to get in trouble.
right. Yeah.
So
I s- yeah. I saw one of the posts there about you in Facebook that you always keep your burdens to yourself. You keep your, that's, like, I think it was a post where somebody was trying to describe you, and you were described as such, like you wouldn't share your problems with other people.
yeah, I've always
Yeah,
been kind
that's,
of a
yeah.
private individual, and that's just stems from my upbringing, I believe. But
Mm,
I'd say probably over the last 5 to 10 years, I've really been trying to work on that,
mm.
and it's a tough road, but you know, it's a journey worth taking for sure.
Andy, I want to ask you a question. Just a few seconds ago, you said you're going through this and you're trying to get better, and then you said I'll never be the same. I'll never be 100%. You said something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah.
Why do you say that?
War changes people. When you see the amount of death and destruction and injuries and the crap that we've seen, you,
Mm.
your innocence is forever lost. You'll never be the same. I have well, I haven't had them anymore, but I don't know if I could say this or not. I
You can
found
say it.
something to help me.
We can always
Um,
edit it out.
yeah, I found something that helps me. I've come off of I know you can edit it out, so I'll go ahead and say it.
Yeah,
You can keep it
yeah.
in if you want. You don't have to. I was on 4 different psychiatric medications when I retired,
Mm,
and
mm,
I didn't like the way they made me feel. I didn't feel the
mm,
same. I was very numb, very just distant. And so, as a last resort, a friend of mine talked to me into trying marijuana.
mm,
And I have found since I've tried marijuana, I've come off of those 4 psych medications. I haven't had a nightmare since I started. I haven't slept better. Um, now I'm not a pothead. If you, I take
right,
edibles
right.
before I go to sleep. It
Mm,
truly is medicinal. Um, in my purpose. And I would have nightmares so bad that I would sometimes hit my wife in my sleep, um, or choke her, or things like that. And I can't tell you the amount of guilt that you feel over that, because clearly you don't mean to. When
right,
you're
of
dreaming, you're
course.
back in that situation, and it's really hard to describe because you're still fighting for your life in your dream, and you're lashing out, but you don't realize it. So, um, yeah, the marijuana has helped me. I haven't had a nightmare since.
You know what, Andy? I wanna confess something to you. I wasn't ready for the amount of information I'm getting from you. I wasn't ready for this.
Well, we can lighten it
Hearing
up.
this. No, it's all right. This is what I do. I love doing this. I'm learning so much from you, and it's just that I wasn't ready for it in the sense that there's really so much going on in my head. Listening to your stories, 'cause I'm really very interested in what goes on in the human mind.
Mhm.
And boy, do I want to really like get in there, get in your head.
Well, we could
So,
always do a part two.
yeah, that would be awesome. That would be wonderful. And then maybe we can also get a third person to be sort of like discussing,
Sure.
discussing with you on. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so let's go back to your story about you hitting your wife and all that. So, how do you think is she coping with everything that's going on? Do you talk about it?
It's a tough road. But marriage is something that you have to work at. You can't. There's too many people that are just so eager to quit and divorce, and yeah, it's to have a successful marriage. It's not easy. It takes a lot of work on both parties. So it takes a lot of education, a lot of patience, compassion, and determination. Because if you without determination, then you're bound to fail. But
Yeah.
it's a struggle every day. We have good days and we have bad days, but overall, I'd say most are good.
Mm.
Um,
Is Connie working? Does she work?
no, so she hadn't worked since my son was born,
Mm.
and that's fine. We can afford it, so why? If she doesn't have to work, she doesn't have to work.
Right, right. Yeah, right. So how does your day happen? Like, what's your? Because I know that you're busy. You have your. Let me show that you have your. Here, you have your podcast. You have your Can you tell me like about Nothing's Off the
Yeah,
Table? Can you
absolutely.
share with the
So
audience?
so
Yeah.
Nothing's Off the Table is a podcast that I started probably about 7 years ago. And it stemmed from my previous podcast. If you look down in the lower left-hand corner, Throwing Down with Andy, that was a podcast I had started, and it was essentially it was all about martial arts. And what I
Mhm.
found is that it was too specific of a niche to get into, and we kind of ran out of things to talk about after a while. So I knew that I wanted to talk to more people about different things, and I figured, why not? Let's just start a new podcast. And so we called it Nothing's Off the Table, because no subject is too taboo. Well, almost
Mhm.
too taboo to
Mhm.
discuss. And we've had some very interesting guests on, and we don't always agree with what they're putting out, but we will listen respectfully, and we'll give them the platform, and try to have some fun with it. But so that was going great for a while, and then I had connected with two other individuals, and come to find out we did not have the same vision for my podcast, so we parted ways. And it's been on hiatus for about almost a year, and I decided to bring it back. And now I have a new co-host. His name is Lou. We served together. He's
Yeah.
also a Navy veteran. He's a Purple Heart recipient, combat veteran, and we just have fun, and we get on. We introduce new people and new topics, and we have a lot of different guests on, and it's a blast.
Yeah, yeah. And how often is this? Nothing's off the table.
So
How
we
often?
actually go live every Friday at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and we're on YouTube,
Every Friday.
Facebook, Twitch, Kick, any of the major platform podcasts that are out there. You can find us
Platform.
on.
Yeah, yeah. And then on the bottom right, let's talk about your books. Like these are short stories, right?
Yeah,
The
so
bottom right
there are
said.
two short stories. A Time to Abdicate is it's a funny story. Actually, I had a nightmare one night that I was attacked um, in a rest area off the highway, and it was so realistic that I woke up, I was sweating, my heart was pounding. Um, I couldn't go back to sleep. That's how realistic it was. So I wrote it down, and I turned it into a short story. And
Mm.
from that short story, I wrote a novel. I had
Mm.
a lot of people tell me that they really enjoyed it and that they'd like to see more from that particular character. So I wrote a novel um, called The Adler
Which
Compound.
is this the one? That wait, is this the one?
Yes,
Yeah, right.
yeah, and
Okay.
you can find that on Amazon. You know, and I'm going to be honest with you. I wrote these pretty much for me, believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
because it was
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic. I didn't promote them. I mean, they're on Amazon. You can buy them. But it wasn't my purpose in writing them. It was more kind of to help me heal, kind of get demons out, and just have something. I don't know, to give me a sense of purpose again. But it was fun writing it, and everyone that's read it so far has told me how much they've enjoyed it. And I don't know if they're
Mm-hmm.
just being nice, but really, I think I got there's several reviews on Amazon, and I think the lowest review is a 4 star. And I'm not sure if I know who that individual was, but um, so I'm happy that people are reading and enjoying it.
Yeah. What's it about? Very,
So it's
very
about
briefly.
a retired Navy SEAL who went to work for the CIA, and you read about that in the short story.
Yeah.
Had an incident. He quit the CIA. His wife ends up getting kidnapped. Um,
Mm-hmm.
He's framed for a chemical warfare attack in Germany that killed thousands. And so he has to both clear his name, try to find his wife, and stop the next impending attack on American soil.
What made you think of that story?
Um, just the different experiences I've had throughout my years in
Yeah.
the military. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a
And
very, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. No, I was just thinking, how do you like writing books? Is there, are you, can you, can you rightly say that you want to be a writer, an author, or that's just a one?
No,
What do you
I
think?
would, I had thought about maybe doing a sequel to it. Not sure yet. Uh, it's funny right now. Getting back to the Wounded Warrior Umpire Academy. Last year I went through, and I was put in charge of basically counseling our folks, the peer to peer
Yeah.
counseling. So I was so motivated by that I'm actually going back to school now. I'm getting my master's in counseling. So um, I'm pretty busy.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all the writing I'm doing right now is papers for school and not for fun.
Yeah, for schools. But Andy, like when you are listening, because I also, we have the program in church. It's called Glorious Hope, and it's a program like a few months that a person can go to. We have a group. We talk about their well, having fun. So it's like you're a different person
Well,
with talking to.
exactly, because I've had to be serious my whole career, especially in the field that I've been in, that why not have some fun now?
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
I was going to say, I feel
No.
like I'm on borrowed time now, so
Mm.
I want to make the most of it.
We all are. That's a reality.
Yep.
Actually, that's a reality. Now, these are other groups. What's this? DTC,
Deferma
Brazilian
Training
Jiu-Jitsu. Do you
Center.
still do that? Yeah.
So this actually is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in Virginia, in Chesapeake, Virginia. It's a school that's owned by a really good friend of mine. And when I was there, yeah, I was training there quite a bit. But unfortunately, I'm 700 plus miles away. So we did go
Mhm.
back last month. Was it last? Yeah, it was last month and visit. So it was fun to go back and see them and train with those guys again.
So here are some pictures of you, like in your group. And then you play baseball also.
So I umpire. I umpire at the high
Okay.
school level. Do some
Okay.
junior college, some college, and every year, as a matter of fact, next month we're going to Tucson, Arizona. Our group, the Wounded
Mhm.
Warrior Umpire Academy, we get together and we go umpire a huge tournament somewhere, and it's usually, it's a higher level baseball, and we take all the proceeds and we donate it back to the organization.
Wow.
But it's a way
Yeah.
to get back with some of our alumni and see each other again and umpire some baseball and have some fun.
Mhm. I also saw, I was looking at your Facebook. I'll keep you just a few more minutes.
So you're stalking me.
Um, yeah, of course, I have to study you so that I can ask you the pertinent questions. Like I also saw that you were firing. You're a
Oh
sharpshooter.
yeah, yeah. I used to shoot quite a bit. I
Because
haven't
like
shot in a while,
what?
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're so awesome. There's so much. That's so much about
Thank you.
you. Like half an hour interview is not enough. I wanna show this to the audience. This is your retirement. Let's listen to this. Look
I
at
was so
this. This is
fat
your
then.
retirement ceremony. This is yeah, 2 years ago, right?
So
20.
yeah, June. Actually, this was March 30th.
Yeah, yeah. So the
Lieutenant, United States Navy, retired, departing.
this is something new for me to
Oh yeah,
see. Yeah, yeah. This is not common. Not everybody gets to see this.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
very true.
And then there's Connie. Yeah. So
Navy
the
family,
second time you
retired,
go around, it's with
departing.
the family already.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's your mom? The
Yes,
one behind? Yeah, that's your mom. What's the name of your mom?
Ann
Annie. Right.
Barker.
Parker.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal portion of the ceremony. On behalf of Lieutenant Barker and family, hashtag Andy now, Thank you for attending.
There, yeah. That's fun. That was fun.
So
I watched it and I said, "Hey, this is new." There's really so many things. So many you're like totally new. Like like having a pet just happens to be it's just incidental that you have a very wonderful service dog named Alma. But really there's really so much to talk about with you. Like like
well, let's do
it's really
round
just
two.
so much. Yeah, let's do round two. And yeah, I might end up crying with the stories you'll be sharing with me in
Don't
round
do
two.
that.
Yeah. So, and then, wait, is there something else I want to show? So, I showed your sports, your groups, your podcasts, and your books. And yeah, so, okay, one last question. What is one thing you shared already that when you were after you retired, it's like when you took off your uniform, it's like you didn't know who you were because it was like that's finished, that's done. But did that give you a sense of fulfillment, or was it more like some people when they retire? I don't know because you're the first uniformed man. Like I've been saying, you're the first uniformed person, human being I interviewed, like, because people like they retire from corporate work, they retire from being a doctor, or, but like retiring from serving the way you did, uh, can you say that you have some sense of fulfillment? I
Oh,
want you to
sure, of
basically,
course.
I
Yeah.
want you to weigh if the sense of fulfillment was not enough such that when you stopped it, you felt like there's got to be something more.
I was ready to retire. I really was. You can, your body can only put up with that stuff for so long, and I went longer than the average person does by 12
Wow.
years.
Wow.
So
It's
uh,
long.
it was
It's
it
like,
was time to retire. Political leanings of the military had changed drastically. I just felt like I didn't fit in anymore. Um, so, but we can talk about that on round two.
oh, too. Right, right. Yeah. Okay. And then the last question. One last question. If you were to live your life back, it's the usual question, but like would you go and do the same thing that you did, like
Oh, without
serve
a
in the
doubt.
Navy? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just maybe would have done some things differently, but service on a whole, there's no doubt.
So you're really a man that wants to give, right? To give
I
back.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And I had so much fun talking to you, and we just scratched the surface. So we're really gonna do a part two to this. I hope you can spare me your time again
We'll
next
make it
time.
work
Yeah.
for sure. It was fun.
We'll make it work. Yeah. So thank you so much. If you can just stay for a minute or two, I'm just gonna wrap up and give my feedback on this. So friends, let's all give a warm thank you and applause to I can call you now my good friend. Andy, Lieutenant Andy Barker. Thank you, Andy. I'll see you in a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Maraming salamat.
So that was Andy Barker. Like friends, I wasn't ready to hear all the stories he shared. His life is so deep, so rich. His thoughts are so deep. And what amazes me is that here's a person who's given so much of himself, yet he feels that there's so much more to life. And I really love what he said that he feels like he's on borrowed time because we truly are on borrowed time and we cannot waste the opportunities that come our way, opportunities where we can help people, opportunities when we can just let's just take a look at what we have, take a look at what we have and be grateful, be thankful. Be so thankful for Miss Beth Alma. And this is what this advocacy is all about. It's about finding hope, being able to see the good in every situation, in everyone. Because really, if we try harder, if we try hard, if we're only willing to give off ourselves, we realize that the world is not so bad. That people have really good things inside them. So with that, I'd like to say bye-bye to you, and I hope that you enjoyed our talk today here at Pet Talks TV. This is Tita Me. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now. God bless you.